Here we are at the University of Stirling for the first Asia-Scotland Institute, Legatum Institute, University of Stirling event, where with Elizabeth Linder and Shanker we have been discussing the impact of social networks on, most recently obviously, the presidential election in the United States of America, and also where we are in terms of key trade issues going forward. And briefly, I'd like to ask you, Elizabeth, to summarise what you've been saying to the students and others about the impact of social networks, and Facebook particularly, on decision-making and policy.
Yes, absolutely. Well, it's a pleasure to be here at Stirling with the Asia-Scotland Institute. I think the biggest piece that we need to really look at is the way in which politicians treat their strategy on social media, because so far it's been very much confined to the realm of communications, the narrative.
Yeah.
And actually when it comes to the narrative, the meme, the polish, Hillary Clinton really dominated that space. But it was Donald Trump who tapped into that raw authenticity piece of social media that actually tends to go down really well with people today. And some of the early clues of that are really in the comments section of social media channels, where you actually see the pent-up frustration and anger that's coming from so many people feeling left out of where the 21st century is going, and wanting change. And I think all of those early clues were there, but we weren't quite paying enough attention to them.
Thank you. Shanker, the impact of this on people's expectations as to what's going to happen in a post-Brexit UK, where people want things to happen, but they're not going to be that easy. Make a link between what Elizabeth just said and what the challenges are or opportunities that we face.
Yeah, I think if you look at the US election, you look at other votes that have happened around the world, you are getting this sense that there is a large group of people who feel that the game is rigged against them, and somehow they've lost out, and others have gained. And I think one of the things that we have to look at is policy, and where we've done, I think, a relatively good job of opening up trade at the border and protecting property rights and these sorts of things, rule of law and so on. We've not done a very good job of dealing with behind the border distortions and economic distortions, lack of competition in many countries around the world that have spillover effects in trade. And so you have a distortion in China that causes a steel factory in Pennsylvania to close down. The steel worker loses their job, and they don't blame it on the distortion in China. They just think the whole system has done this to them. The globalization has done this to them, and they want to throw out the policymakers who were in charge of this process. And I think that's what's happening. The solution, of course, is not to throw out the process, the whole process, because globalization and liberalization has delivered huge gains, lifted billions of people out of poverty over the last 50, 60 years. The solution is to figure out what it is we've missed, particularly in the last 25 years, post-fall of the Berlin Wall. What we've missed is competition on the merits as an organising principle. How do we develop that? How do we make our trade agreements better so that they actually deliver on this, and they're actually then absolutely pro-poor, lifting people out of poverty agreements?
And we believe that better communication, understanding people's desires and frustrations are going to be very important elements in doing that. And so, you heard it here first. Here we are at the University of Stirling, delighted to have had this joint session together, the first of many, and judging by the questions that we've had from the audience in the event we've just finished, there is a great deal of interest, particularly amongst tomorrow's leaders, as to what's going on and the opportunities and challenges in front of them. So thank you both for joining us for these few minutes of discussion, and thank you to everybody at the University.